Ziggity zig, back with a Friday Faff, and this is a game submitted to me by... Oh, I hit the wrong thing. There we go. And production by YouSeemOP down here in the bottom... Or no, in the bottom right, yes. And JHawkshead up here in the top right of... What the crap are we on? This is like Whirlwind, but I think this is Belshire something. Forgive me if I don't know the names of all the bloody maps. I'm not actually all that interested. The accents come and go. That's just sort of par for the course. So, this is a game sent to me by YouSeemOP, and just says sort of the... I can't remember if it was the most epic or just the worst TVP in some time. So, YouSeemOP is getting his Terran game going. His Terran game is a lot better than mine. We will say that. But we'll just see how amusing this is. So we might just be scrutinizing Hawkshead at the moment, who is going for a wall off against a Terran, which not many people do, but really, who am I to say when you're supposed to do something and when you're not? When you are probably supposed to be looking at something is approximately now YouSeemOP will want to be looking at doing a bit of a scout. And yep, there goes the scout indeed. So here comes the Protoss probe is having a peek, and then he's going to come over here immediately and hide. No, not hide, possibly aiming for the assimilator, but just sort of moving it way around. YouSeemOP definitely ready to start up with... there goes the additional SCV is on his way out for a scout. No one making a barracks just yet. There comes the barracks now by SCV number 3. There we go. So that actually takes several units away from mining, and so he's got one scouting, one following around this probe, and one building a barracks, so he is falling only slightly behind there. But since, if you saw that, he had more harvesters than Hawkshead, he's actually doing quite a bit better, because the only thing that's going on right now, there is the gateway, which is on its way, and the gateway is actually only a few seconds ahead of the barracks. But now what's going on is that YouSeemOP does have a small SCV and is wandering around here in the natural, not gaining any real view, what happened here, of what's going on in Hawkshead's base, but is there, is happy. Meanwhile, Hawkshead's probe has moved over to this side, possibly going to make a proxy pylon when anything actually starts happening. With what we've got right now, we've got the cybernetics core hopping down, saving up some chrono boosts, so that's probably going to be possibly for a 4-gate, but we will see. It might just be a 3-gate robo. YouSeemOP is not starting to make any kind of unit per se, but there we go, with a marine starting to hop out right there, and the refinery on the way. If you have another look at the worker supply, it's pretty much on even keel because, that's not bad. So it's not the worst kind of worst kind of EV have you ever seen. Now, already having found JHawkshead's base, YouSeemOP seems quite adamant on making sure that Hawkshead, this was not some sort of ninja expand over here to the side, so he's doing a full-on scan of the rest of the area. Hawkshead is committing to this wall up here at the top of the ramp, and just a few units there to cover the top side of it. YouSeemOP getting the orbital command and getting ready for another expansion. There is the pylon happening there, nice and far away by Hawkshead, moving the probe up a little bit closer than the pylon, just in case he wants to make something a little bit closer. This command center is obviously going to move down to the natural area. It doesn't look like Hawkshead is ready to expand anytime soon, just getting some additional gateways, and there is a forge, a forge, so it's going to be a 2-gate plus 1 push, maybe something from this pylon, which is way the hell back here, over here by all of this crazy industry. This would be the industrial zone, which you're always in demand of the industrial zone, as if anyone who plays SimCity will ever know. YouSeemOP managing to get a second barracks, and now the factory starting up. No add-ons as of yet, but that's fine. There's the additional command center now on 2 double gas to possibly do a little bit as so far as maybe a tech lab, some upgrades, and maybe do a little bit of mech play. Sticking to the gateways at the moment, pretty full on the chrono boost. Nothing really happening up here for Hawkshead, just sort of content on getting a number of zealots, which is probably still enough to combat over top of the number of marines which YouSeemOP has, but with a little bit of micro and just sort of scoot and shoot, he should be able to keep those alive if they get into any kind of long-range firefight from the top of the map to the bottom of the map, but that's okay. Here comes an add-on there, so the tech labs are popping out right now for both the barracks and the factory. There's a bunker happening up at the top, kind of a late defense. Usually you only want to use the barracks at the beginning of your game for your early defense. YouSeemOP deciding to switch it over to a command center in order to an orbital in order to start generating the energy needed. So by the time he moves the orbital command into the right place, then you can start bringing the mules down as fast as possible. Still popping down the workers is Hawkshead, quite far ahead. Now at full saturation on this base, pretty much ready to expand down here if that is the case, but not worrying too much about it, just sort of continuing on with the 3-gate forge funny deal dice thing. But oh, there we go. And here is the forward push. One zealot at the front, ready to go. Vroom! Here he goes. We'll name him Steve. Steve's all set. Nothing really happening there. YouSeemOP doing a good job with keeping the Marines moving around, just to sort of peek around to see if there is any kind of proxy pylon. Not expecting the proxy pylon to be halfway across the damn map with one silly little zealot sitting at it. This is an excellent move to do just as you're moving out your command center, just to sort of defend and make sure that you're not about to land your command center right on top of a giant army at a pylon. Speaking of pylon, no, that was actually a photon cannon. There's a pylon being warped in. So staying ahead of the supply blockage, there is an interesting, oh wait, that's now actually up to a 6-gate. 6-gate forge plus 1, another gateway up there, so just a ridiculous amount of gateways, and here comes a hallucinated unit. Let's see how YouSeemOP reacts to this. There's this probe still sitting over here, ready to, aha, there is going to be a ninja expand. Look at that! So going for the ninja expand and the hallucinated phoenix. So what YouSeemOP is going to do here, he's trying to take that down, and poof! So Hawkshead doesn't actually get all that much of a scout, not that there's really all that much going on in here, misses out on, I suppose, the tech lab, the additional barracks, and the number of barracks that you're working with there. It's definitely not knowing anything as to what's going on in YouSeemOP's gas count. There's a number more units down here, so this kind of push type, I don't even know, thing is not really working. But speaking of not working, there is a large amount of gas and minerals up here in YouSeemOP's base. But look at this. This is just a perfect spot to start throwing your tanks up here right on the corner. Definitely into a very turtled defensive mode here, but moving into 2 bases, that's just fine. Because at the moment, this is when you start needing to get your army pumping out enough units, and your army is just going to get higher and higher. This army supply is going to start to outnumber Hawkshead by quite an amount. However, this strange ninja going on over here, the problem here is that YouSeemOP just had to look right there and sees, oh, no expansion, no worries, I'm not concerned about this at all. The thing is, if I'm not mistaken, YouSeemOP is actually currently in Bronze League. Might be up to Silver, but I think he's in Bronze. So this kind of thing, this ninja expand, I remember thinking of it in Bronze while I was there, just thinking, why do you take your natural? That makes no sense, because then all your eggs are in one basket, as it were, and you're not really prepared for anything else. So here's this other unit, series of units down here, which are just ready to kind of wander up, take out this Marine, and see what kind of damage they can do. But with this amount of tanks and these bunkers, I don't think this slight forward army is going to do much damage into this, aside from possibly the income or economy. But YouSeemOP is so far ahead, he has money to burn, singe, money to do terrifying, dastardly things, to get in some engineering bay in order to get the upgrades. That is the way to do it. So we're moving on to upgrades, tank mode, getting a little bit of stim, probably just about ready for some medevacs, but the problem here, getting a reactor for the medevacs, is not into, there we go, finally getting it, there we go, finally noticing the supply blockage, and there is the 9 grid. As the 9 grid comes up, this is when JHawkshead finally decides, I'm going to move them slightly closer. I am now slightly closer to where I wanted to be, and still just outside of range. Not going to move in just yet, because, you know, being very, very, very careful. Definitely very careful, and now we're seeing, yeah, obviously, what do you do next is you get the Void Rays. The Void Rays and the Twilight Council, so this is apparently just the sort of, the safety base, where you don't even make all of your gateways into warp gates. You just, you know, you just kind of, you don't worry about that at all. Because you're on a 27-28 EPM, it looks like YouSeemOP is just sort of outplaying his opponent, who is still the same skill set, but they're both just a little tentative. I don't think YouSeemOP has really moved out all that much. Keeps doing a couple of scans up here, which is fine, because definitely ahead as far as, no, was ahead as far as income and harvesters, thinks he's ahead as far as income and harvesters, because only sees one base. So what's going to happen there is we now have enough units, and he's just about ready. Probably going to come in for a drop anytime soon. There's numerous add-ons going down as well. Look at all these upgrades going on at all the exact same time. Infantry, weapons 1 followed immediately by concussive shells. There is another hallucinated phoenix on its way, and this marine is probably going to find these units up here. Does not quite see it. Okay, now knows that they're there. Wonders what to do. Decides to move out. Nope, doesn't decide to move out. See if JHawkshead decides to move in. You guys gonna meet in the middle? Anything? Little fancy dance? No fancy dance is happening at any time. In another strange move, JHawkshead takes Ninja Expand number 2. So he's now covering all 4 corners, thinks he's playing Risk, decides to hide in Australia and South America and the northwest corner of North America, and just expand from 3 different places, because, you know, why not? When you're playing in Bronze, not a lot of people really sort of scout around and take a look at things. With this number of medevacs, you could really just sort of pop around with little armies. I mean, imagine if you went west first, you could just destroy this, head up here, destroy this next. There's relatively very little defending this, at least there will be soon, because these 4 Void Rays are going to come out. But again, YouSeemOP's army supply is just way out in front due to the amount of tech just here. The problem is that these tanks are not going to last very long against the Void Rays, but luckily, in the style of JHawkshead, it just says, hey, I've got an army, and now I'm just going to sit here. Still working on that. This base is still just as saturated. Still, at 15 minutes and 46 seconds into the game, we still have absolutely not all of our gateways are set as gateways. YouSeemOP deciding to take the 3rd base up towards his opponent, as opposed to straying away from. Here's another warp in down here by JHawkshead. And YouSeemOP trying to find out where this additional warp in is happening, just thinks that there might be a proxy pylon around here, does spy the remainder of that group. These tanks, if you get this marine out here in vision, these tanks have a ridiculous amount of range. They can actually get all the way out to here. The thing is, without the range of this marine moving in here, and no, gonna lose out on that, because the range only gets to here, despite the fact that they can actually see even farther. They can shoot farther than they can see, which is kind of interesting. This is when you want some sort of unit in the air, like a medevac or something even larger. But as far as this army is concerned, YouSeemOP certainly does seem to have the upper hand. But these units are just going to walk into an absolutely throttled bottleneck as the tanks just completely eviscerate them. And look at that, resources and units lost. YouSeemOP way out in front now, and deciding now is the time to move out. The only problem there is that YouSeemOP still thinks there is but 1 base up here. And technically, yes, there is only 1 base up here because he did not expand to his natural. But over here we do have a large unit. You'd think that if you had 4 Void Rays and Tempests, you would then move in at the same time as your cursory units. I don't quite understand what is going on here in the mind of JHawkshead. But okay, so this is the robotics bay. He seems to be farming things out. This is the Robo base. This is the Stargate base. This is the I'm not going to make everything to a gateway base. Oh no, it is a gateway base. That's cool. This is where I keep all my extra probes base, who are probably not going to make it through this particular attack. Now, note at the same time, YouSeemOP is still trying to just punch out the remainder of these units, because YouSeemOP did get ahead in a large number of... I'm not even talking about this in engagement right now, because this is just ridiculously one-sided. So YouSeemOP does get up into the large amount of minerals and Vespine, but is actually keeping that at the same pace, despite this really awesome income. And so it's staying low because he's doing quite a bit. There's infantry 2, weapons 2, not much else going on. I don't think these are going to make it at all. Let's just highlight these guys and see if anyone survives out of this. But what's happening down here is these zealots have moved in thinking that they were going to do quite a bit of damage, and they are going up against these SCVs, and the hero SCVs are keeping themselves in this game, and no, they're finally losing out, but they did take out a number of SCVs. If you can watch down there, I did not select anything different. All of those probes did not make it out, not a single one. Here is another small foot army here for YouSeemOP, but he did not move it to the front of the line, so therefore he's losing a number of buildings and a few units and a number of SCVs down here, but these ones are definitely going to be able to move down pretty soon because they are almost mined out. So This small group of zealots has done a little bit of work, but just not quite enough to make up for it, as JHawkshead is still at a very low amount. And now, at this point, YouSeemOP starts to worry about this because he has finally decided that, yes, does not fully know what's going on. However, his army has returned to take care of these zealots, and he does see, if you look at the YouSeemOPs, he has done a scan up here at the top. And there are... I don't know why he's scanning. I didn't see any Dark Templar. In fact, I don't even think this is a Dark Shrine. He's attacking based on the fact that there was a zealot over here fighting, attacking a barracks that he apparently did not quite see. But again, there's a Widow Mine, but YouSeemOP is just drastically out in front right now, just choosing not quite to engage. Here come the air units, however. Here come 3 Tempests and 4 Void Rays. It doesn't really seem like it's enough to do any damage, but if these Void Rays do a charge, we'll find out what kind of charge they've got. But base, it just looks like they're just going to walk right into death. That takes them out. 2 Void Rays go down without any kind of damage whatsoever, but 2 Void Rays do make it through. These remaining units are going to come out here and slowly take down these Tempests. These 2 Void Rays are probably going to get a couple of kills. Yep, there's 1-2 kills, and they are slowly destroying. But they are not energizing whatsoever. The Tempests do not last longer than a few seconds just because they do not move all at the same time. However, here come these Void Rays, and without energizing whatsoever, they are going to slowly take down the remainder. Well, not the remainder, but a few more SCVs. But the Medivacs come up to attack. No dice. Medivacs are not doing much against them there. 1 Void Ray remains with 3 kills. If you energize, there might have been a lot more done there, or you could have done something about many of these supply blocked supply depots. That doesn't sound quite right. But here come the tanks. Tanks are on their way because the tanks are useless against the Tempest, so they decide, hey, we can't shoot up, let's go over here and shoot down. There comes the Dark Shrine, just in time. So there's probably going to be a number of Dark Templar just about to warp in. The Colossus are being worked on down here in the Roboland. There we go, base number 3, which can, you can only make 1 type of unit at a time. I'm kind of impressed that they actually made gateways over here this side. Only 3 gateways remaining now. No Dark Templar on the way, despite the amount of money that Hawkshead has for Dark Templar. Even chrono boosting things. There isn't another Tempest, because you know what works against things that can kill Tempests? Tempests! So we'll just attack all of these units, which killed all of my Tempests before, with more Tempests. Maybe the Colossus will do better, because, you got a lot of ground units, and the Tempest didn't do so well anyway, and splash damage is awesome. But here comes 1 Tempest, and 1 Tempest is going to take on a 200 army in 1, 2, 3... Are we seeing any A-move? Anyone? A-move? Please? Please? Can we A-move? Please? Please? Ermagerd? Ermagerd A-move. Well, we finally got a little bit of a stim there from YouSeemOP. He's going to go in there, and it's trying to take out the remainder of this. Here comes a few of these units slowly moving their way across, but it looks like this Tempest is going to fall down to base number 3, where JHawkshead is deciding to remain fully entrenched. The Dark Shrine does absolutely nothing after all, and it probably does not last much longer as of now. JHawkshead is down to less than half of YouSeemOP's supply. The remainder of the army is still on its way up here because it's YouSeemOP. And there we go, there's the final building, and he's won the game! No, he hasn't won the game because there's still 1 remaining base down here, and it's covered. This is at least the robotics facility base, so we'll see what happens here. Now, when you're supply blocked and you've got enough money to make some more Colossus, there we go. So we are making 4 more Colossus. That's what you want to do, except for the fact that you need, I don't know, 13 pylons? Can you afford 13 pylons? I think you can afford 13 pylons. There we go. So 2 pylons, that'll do. 3, 4, hi-oh, thank you very much. Cybernetics core, because we forgot that. And, don't forget your gateways, because you don't want warp gates, you want gateways. Here comes the Parade of Terran. These guys waving to the sides. Hey, how's it going here? The heroes riding on the backs of the tanks, waving to the crowd as they wander down this way, heading back home, thinking to themselves, hey, where are we going? Getting the scan off just in time to decide, hey, you know what? We should walk straight into that. And here it comes, the Parade of Awesomeness, the Parade of Medivacs, which, can save everyone a little bit of foot room and a little bit of a headache and a little bit of the walk by carrying them, but decides, no, I'm not going to carry you guys. We're way too good for that kind of thing. And now what I'd like to see is some tanks setting up down here at the bottom, because they would have the range to blow up these Colossus before they even got in range. If the Medivacs could get up there in time, and they probably wouldn't even get zapped, because the only thing up there that can shoot air, I think, is a Tempest, and it's starting to shoot. There they go. And the Marines run into the Deathland. Here come the Marines and the Marauders. The tanks are just a little bit too far behind, and all of a sudden, that 200 army is down to 100. Now he's trying to bait them back, but this time now, JHawkshead has finally decided that if you don't run directly into the things that are shooting you, you will die less. So there you go. Lesson learned. There are some Vikings now coming out by YouSeemOP, the direct answer to the Colossus, or, you know, anything in great numbers, say 200 of them. So now up at 5,000 minerals, YouSeemOP is just making some more bases. These 4 zealots waiting to come in the back door and sort of get in the way, but no, they're just gonna hang out and be just support units, I guess. So here come a few things. Oh, I'm not sure quite what that was. Might have been a zealot or two, or some probes on their way down. So definitely the problem here right now for JHawkshead is he can't quite get in or out unless he makes, I don't know, like a warp prism somewhere out of these two. But the new plan is to put down a couple more pylons. That worked. Look at how well that went. Here comes the Dark Shrine. Dark Shrine number 2. This will definitely work, and we will have no problems whatsoever. If only we could move up and get a little bit of vision up here. Just one medevac or one marine down here on the side. Here come the Vikings, and the Vikings are going to try to get in here. The problem is the Vikings are slightly susceptible to the Tempest, but not really to anything else, even though there is, oh, I don't know, a whole lot of this going on. But, of course, JHawkshead is now actually in a bit of peril because of the income tab. And here's where the income is happening. The issue here is that YouSeemOP is out at his main, almost out at his second, not quite saturated at his third. There comes another zealot, down to his death. That didn't really work. So just timing it out one at a time, JHawkshead had just decided to send down those units one at a time. But these zealots have finally decided to try to crash straight in. Not on an A move, but these Widow Mines do make short work of them. The 200 army is starting back up by YouSeemOP. He's just waiting until he's absolutely deathballed up. What's the one way to defeat Protoss? Is to ironically deathball. Here comes some Dark Templar finally, and the bad news there is that on one scan, we get rid of one of them, and the second one somehow survives. But YouSeemOP is on the trigger finger of the scans. I don't know why I can't think of all the words at the same time. There are 3 tabs of Marines right there. That is the way to do things. There's a couple of Hellbats, a number of tanks. There's the Vikings. Here comes the Dark Templar one more time, taking a swipe. 2 hits, 3 hits. Gets 2.5 hits out before YouSeemOP is right there on the orbital scan. There's one more Dark Templar being warped in, and he's probably going to take out... Yes, watch this! He's going to take out the 7-kill... The 7-kill tank, another tank, a 3-kill tank, so this Dark Templar is getting a few kills out of this. Meantime, YouSeemOP is moving his way in, but all of his tanks are slowly being taken out. Here comes another Dark Templar. No scan happening down here in the base, but these Vikings are just making a ridiculous mess of these Colossus, so they're just both etching out each other's armies. YouSeemOP is going to have no tanks left. Here he comes, and he's moving his way up. Finally gets the scan down. A few charge lots head their way down. The Vikings have taken care of everything in the sky. Very little left. No Dark Templars left. Slowly moving his way up the ramp. Even down to 158, but still way, way ahead in just about everything. Even EPM. There's the army supply. 126 to nothing. Hawkshead finally realized that his Colossi were being destroyed by these Vikings while he was being all snappy with the Dark Templar. And finally calls it a game. Wow. That was... I think YouSeemOP played a pretty good game for a Bronzy. Probably could have just been a little bit more assertive, aggressive, and finished it earlier. Decided not to, and that's cool. Leave me a comment down below. Send me a drink of water. Ouch, my throat. Send me an email, ziggityzig@gmail.com, or you can follow me on Twitter @ziggityzig. Send me some of your replays, send me something funny, send me something hilarious, send me something with a lot of chat in it, or something weird. I don't care. That was the Friday Faff. Oh, stay tuned.